So the Detroit Lions overcome 5 Jared Goff interceptions and a 19-point deficit to defeat the Houston Texans 26-23 on Sunday Night Football. Jake Bates comes through in crunch time, banging a 58-yard field goal and a 52-yard game-winning field goal to help the Lions improve to 8-1 on the season. And like I said last week, the Detroit Lions, to me, are the best team in the NFL at the moment. They are playing some great football. And even when they aren't playing good football, with you being able to come back from 23-7 down, in spite of all of the gifts that Jared Goff was giving the Houston Texans, it shows how good of a team you are. The fact that your quarterback played one of the worst games of his career and you still came back scoring 19 unanswered shows you just how truly talented this Lions team is. And they might be the only team in the league that can stop the Chiefs from being able to three-peat this year. They have everything that you look for in the championship team. Not just talent, but they have that championship DNA. They have that grit. They have that toughness, that never say die attitude. No matter how ugly things get during a game, they always are going to find a way to come out victorious. And that's the sign of a great team. The Kansas City Chiefs have that same ability. They can get in the dogfights. They can play bad football and still walk away with the W, because those are the qualities that championship teams have. It's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. And as long as you're coming away with these wins, it doesn't matter how you get them. It further strengthens why the Lions continue to be the most dominant team in the NFC conference at this moment. And the Houston Texans, you're in a really scary place offensively right now. Joe Mixon had 25 carries and only averaged 1.8 yards per attempt. That's really bad. That shows how bad your offensive line is. CJ Stroud got sacked 4 times this game. 2 of those sacks were on him, but he was running for his life a good amount tonight. And he had 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions. One of them was really egregious. I guess he thought Tank Dell was wide open, and then out of nowhere, Carlton Davis comes and undercuts the route, picks it off. CJ Stroud has had a down year. There's no denying that. And moving forward, the Texans, it's not a sure thing that they're going to hold on to the AFC South, because, you know, maybe the Colts could figure some things out and turn their season around. Maybe the Jaguars could strike some fire and get hot. It's way too soon to just assume that the Texans have the AFC South locked up, because this is the time of the year where we start to see teams who struggled the first half of the season start to get hot the second half of the season. The real football season begins around Thanksgiving. That's when the contenders start to separate themselves from the pretenders, and that's when teams that didn't start playing good football early start playing good football now, because this is the final stretch. We're at the midway point of the season. This is when teams show you who they truly are. We still don't know what team the Texans are at this moment. Is this a team that's good enough to compete for the AFC? Maybe they can knock off Kansas City or the Baltimore Ravens, make it to the Super Bowl. Or are they going to be a one-and-done team in the playoffs? They're able to get into the dance because they win the weak division and then they get blown out in the wild card round. I still don't know what to make of the Houston Texans up to this point. This is their second straight loss. You lost Thursday night to New York Jets. I thought that was just a one-off thing, because, you know, even the best teams have a few games that they lose that make you go, how did that happen? But the Houston Texans, we are starting to see a lot of recurring issues pop up in a lot of their games. The offensive line struggling to protect CJ Stroud, struggling to open up holes in the run game. Joe Mixon has been the best player on Houston's offense all season. And when he's not going, that's when this offense normally tends to struggle. And I thought that Houston was going to end up blowing out Detroit when they got up 23-7 at halftime, I picked Houston to cover that 3.5-point spread. And for Detroit to just score 19 unanswered, it just really surprised me because you expect more out of a team that's coached by DeMeco Ryans. You expect more out of CJ Stroud, who had so many high expectations coming into this year. And you kind of have the feeling that with the way things have gone for the Texans the last couple of weeks, their season is about to spiral left. And even if they do make it to the playoffs, you're looking at a team that probably is a 9-8 team at best, because I don't even know what teams on your schedule you can be trusted to beat at this point. Because although you are talented, even with the injuries that you've had to Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs, you still do have a lot of depth at receiver. You got a really good defense. Your secondary played outstanding in this game. This is the best that you could play against the Detroit Lions with how hot this team has been as of late. The Houston Texans, it's not a good time to be a fan of this club because you have an identity crisis. And we don't know if you're going to be able to find out who you are when this season concludes. You can go into the off season and have major question marks about, is CJ Stroud the guy who can lead you to a Super Bowl? Do you have a Super Bowl caliber staff? Do you have to part ways with Bobby Slowick, somebody who was in a lot of talks to be a head coach during the off season? You just leave this game having more questions than answers about the Houston Texans, which is something that you don't want to be saying when you're at this point of the season. At this point, you should already know who you are as a football team. You had a players-only meeting to sort out some of the issues, and nothing still has improved with this team. So I'm really concerned about the Houston Texans moving forward. The Detroit Lions, however, they remain the team to beat, not only in the NFC, but in the NFL as well. I don't care if Kansas City's undefeated. Detroit, to me, is playing better football than what the Chiefs are. Yeah, they had a down game, but listen, if you can walk away with a win with your starting quarterback throwing 5 interceptions, you can't get picky about style points. All that matters is getting the victory, because if this is any other team whose quarterback throws 5 interceptions, they're getting blown out by at least 28 points.